What's up, everybody? It's Josh. There are a bunch of rumors and reports about Obi-Wan Kenobi being in Episode 9. That's right, reports are that Ewan Mcgregor will go to secretly film a few scenes for the finale of this current saga. In this video, I want to break down where we are getting this news from, why we believe it, and what it could mean for certain characters, mainly Rey, in the final chapter of this current Star Wars saga. We're breaking it all down right now. What's up, everybody? We're about to get right into this, but if you like Star Wars the way I do, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We're going to be doing a ton of videos on the way to Episode 9. Oh yeah, real quick for everybody, if you've been wondering where the Nerdy News Rundown is, it's not on YouTube anymore. We actually moved it to IGTV, so go check out the Den of Nerds on Instagram. Follow the page and you'll be able to get the Nerdy News Rundown in the new IGTV format. It's a pretty cool thing. We're pretty excited about it, so I'm going to be talking about it in a few videos. Go check it out. Seriously, go check it out, please. Okay, so let's get into this. This news broke actually a couple of days ago. It's coming out of The Sun UK, which is a tabloid over there that is known to be sort of gossipy, sort of rumory, but a lot of people ran with this story, and there are a number of different reasons why people tend to believe that this will indeed be the case. The Sun claims to have insider knowledge about Ewan McGregor coming to film some secret scenes for Episode 9. This goes along with a number of different reports out there and just a number of different stories. So I kind of want to break down why we actually believe this is the case. The number one thing that comes to my mind is all about the Obi-Wan film. Now, the Obi-Wan standalone film has been in the news a lot lately. This is because after the Solo failure, it was put out there that Disney and Lucasfilm was going to be stepping away from the Solo Star Wars story movies, and the thought was that the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie was going to be sacrificed because of this move. It was a big thing that Collider reported on. Frosty Weintraub talked a lot about this. The Obi-Wan film was very far along in production and is now on hold. Disney came out and sort of said that wasn't completely accurate, but didn't deny it totally, so we're not really sure what's going on. But back in the day, when people were curious about the Obi-Wan film, there were a lot of reports from insiders that had mentioned the fact that the current saga films were actually not done with the Obi-Wan character, and they were not going to move forward on the Solo Obi-Wan movie until he played his role in the current saga. I remember this. This was a huge story. A lot of people talked about it, and a lot of people thought this means, oh, we're getting Rey Kenobi, and JJ's going to retcon that. Now, I don't know if that is the case. We'll talk about that in just a second, but it's just one more story that kind of lends itself to this narrative. There was also that report by Simon Pegg. Remember when he did that podcast several months ago, and he had said essentially that the thing Ryan did with Rey's lineage was not the plan that JJ had for that character and her lineage in his original story. And so once again, the wheels started turning. A lot of people thinking, man, Rey Kenobi was totally a thing. Why else would Ewan McGregor be in that Force-backed vision, which of course he was? On top of all of that, there were new reports put out there by Grace Randolph, who of course does the Beyond the Trailer YouTube channel. I think Grace is awesome, but she recently talked about some insider knowledge she had about a big Disney meeting between Bob Iger, the heads of Pixar, the heads of Lucasfilm, and a lot of stuff was talked about. Now, in Grace's video, they talk a lot about how Kathy Kennedy is on thin ice, which is a whole nother thing. But within the story was the fact that JJ Abrams was going to be given a ton of creative control for Episode 9, with the idea being that he could bring back certain elements and sort of return Star Wars to form. Now, as I mentioned before, JJ is the guy that brought Ewan in on the project for The Force Awakens. He came in there and recorded some parts for Rey's Force-backed vision. And so when you combine that with the Bob Iger report, when you combine that with the Simon Pegg report, when you combine that with the rumors that the current saga was not done with Obi-Wan and they were not going to move forward on that Solo movie until they were, you get basically a big collection of stories that sort of provide a pretty good through line if you are thinking that Obi-Wan will be in Episode 9. So there's a lot of evidence to support that Ewan McGregor will be in Episode 9 as Obi-Wan, but there's some confusion here. I mean, Are they going to make Ewan look a lot older, make him look like the Alec McGinnis version? Is he going to be a Force ghost and return as a younger Force ghost? Is it maybe from a holocron? Is he going to have some message for Rey or some message for somebody else out there in the galaxy? Something that maybe he recorded in his younger years? Yeah, there's all kinds of possibilities for why he would be in the film, and who knows, man, they could probably pull him off looking like the older Obi-Wan, but I kind of get the feeling that they're going to do the younger Obi-Wan, maybe through a vision or maybe through a holocron. Now, of course, the big question here for all the Star Wars nerds and the things that we really want to talk about is, does this lead any credence to the Rey Kenobi theory? Is it possible that JJ is going to sort of retcon what Rian Johnson did with the parents in The Last Jedi and give Rey the Kenobi lineage? Now, a couple of different reasons as to why I think this might happen. Number one, all has to do with course correction. A lot of people are not happy with the things that The Last Jedi did. Bob Iger is hyper aware of this, and if the report by Grace is to be believed, JJ is literally being tasked with sort of making that whole situation better. Now, I can think of a ton of different ways to make that situation better, but one of the things that did stick out to people was the Rey No One or the Rey Nobody lineage problem. And on top of that, you don't necessarily have to change what happened in The Last Jedi. After all, in that movie, Kylo Ren tells her that her parents were nobody. But that's not to say that her grandparents were nobody. And it's very possible that Kenobi is her grandfather, and then she was either adopted or the children of Obi-Wan ended up being total D-bags. So in a sense, they could have been nobody. They could have been really terrible people, sold her off for alcohol, and yet she still belongs to a really powerful lineage, and she's the granddaughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And that kind of feels like the right course correct for that character. I think a lot of people would embrace that. JJ also made a lot of statements when he was working on the script with Chris Terrio, talking about how he wanted to bring all of the films together. This includes the prequels and the original trilogy. Episode 9 was said to be the film that combines it all, wraps it all up, makes it all make sense. And I can't quite think of a better way to do that, but then to explain that the moment we are at right now is the grandchildren of Darth Vader and the grandchild of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Essentially, that fight on Mustafar, the creation of Vader, which was an epic moment not only in the Star Wars saga, but in the diegetic world that the Star Wars universe takes place in. That moment could be repeating itself right now. So, the current place we're at in the saga could be the showdown, the sort of repeated showdown of Mustafar between Kylo Ren, who is of course the grandchild of Darth Vader, and Rey, who in this instance would be the grandchild of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And here's hoping it happens on Mustafar, on Vader's castle. Man, that would be epic. I'd be so down for that. There's of course like a plethora of information that would suggest that Rey is a Kenobi. I highly suggest checking out the Vincent Vendetta theory video, but there's a ton of great videos out there about how Rey could be a Kenobi, and there's a ton of evidence that does support it. Overall, I think it could be the case. I mean, they're gonna kind of keep it quiet. I think that there's a high chance that Obi-Wan is in the film, and maybe a 60% chance that Rey is revealed to be a Kenobi. I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. I also think it's really exciting, the prospect of setting up the Obi-Wan film. I mean, all of the fan base really wants this movie. After the reports came out that the movie got axed and they weren't doing solo pictures anymore, it should have been incredibly obvious to everybody at Disney how badly everybody wants this Obi-Wan film. And if you tie that character to the Rey character and set up this through line, set up this lineage, I think you're going to get a lot more people to go check it out than you would otherwise. So I think it's a good move. That being said, that's the story. That's all the evidence I wanted to talk about. I'm very curious what you all think about that. Now I want to shout out Michael Tomei, who got the nerd card question correct in my most recent Star Wars video about the Knights of Ren. And not only did Michael get that question correct, but he knew some stuff about that question that I didn't even know. So definitely want to shout out Michael. Michael, and we're going to go ahead and do another nerd card question right now. And the question is, how many years was Obi-Wan on Tatooine before he ends up leaving with Luke Skywalker in A New Hope? He, of course, goes there at the end of the Revenge of the Sith, but I want to know, how many years was Obi-Wan Kenobi underneath the twin suns on Tatooine? Answer that question in the comment section below. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and nerdy day, and I will see you in the next video.